Ready. Play.
And as it stands, we still have Alex de Minaur, we still have Andrei Rublev, we still have Casper Ruud in the hunt for these last ATP Finals spots. Of course, Djokovic super close to qualifying, basically needs a loss from just one of them within the next few days. And especially Demon, I guess, in Paris was a big story because obviously Rublev and Ruud lost again. They are pretty much unable to pick up any points at the moment. But Demon, despite struggling with some health issues recently, he comes back. He looks pretty rough at first in Antwerp, but he's getting there. Almost beat Rune, which would have really helped him there. But even then, making that quarterfinal, getting ahead of Rublev, this could be massive.
Absolutely, yeah. Big win against Big Jack Draper. Always a big positive in my eyes. Again, I always feel like Jack, when he loses, I'm not saying he beats himself, but he slowed down a bit. He just wasn't hitting the ball quite as well. Minaur did quite a good job of breaking him down a bit. He could be so dangerous in these courts, so that was an amazing win to get through for sure. He's done such a good job of keeping the head. It's quite a big deal to get to the ATP Finals. As much as we might say, oh well, these players are just getting to big moments in tournaments in their sleep, it's probably not that big a deal. I'm sure de Minaur cares. I'm sure he would be quite keen to get to the finals. So he's done such a good job of keeping the head the last few weeks for sure. It's mad. It is mad though. Just side note that Rublev could be getting to the. It's not obviously he's got a Masters tournament under his belt. It's not that mad, but at the same time, you see every single clip you see of Rublev online is him just going mental. Like it's just because he's just losing another match that he probably feels like he should be winning with the weapon he has, and I imagine like him, his fans must be tearing their hair out because it's just so frustrating seeing him. It's crazy that he's in the finals. Well, we could be in the finals. Sorry, I don't know if you'd agree, Damien.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Obviously, Madrid, he won, but it didn't feel like either him or Felix played their best that entire event. Then Montreal, he gets to the final, and that was actually very legitimate because he beats Sinner along the way. But he also runs into Popyrin in the final and has one of the worst performances I've seen from him. So I feel like this year really has not been impressive at all from Andre. He hasn't made much progress at anything. He's only basically went worse with all the mental stuff, and he's hitting himself with his racket like every single match right now. It's pretty uncomfortable to watch, but then again, you can't argue with the points. Obviously, Madrid and Montreal alone, that's already 1,650. So I guess it's not that big a surprise. And he actually has a pretty decent situation despite being behind de Minaur because of the way that the ATP rankings are structured. Basically, de Minaur doesn't have anything to gain with his first round win, whereas Rublev can actually gain 40 points with his first round win. So in a way, Alex still has to actually outperform Rublev, or at least go the same as him when it comes to winning the title, to still be ahead of him. So now, actually, even if he wins the title, he's going to be behind Rublev, and Rublev also wins the title. But then he would be ahead of Djokovic, which makes it irrelevant in that case. But anyway, I mean, Rublev does not have to. It's de Minaur who has to perform better than Rublev, even though he's ahead of him on points this week, which could be pretty massive. I'm going to ask this very stupid question right now, which is who's not making the ATP Finals? Djokovic, Ruud, de Minaur, Rublev?
Ruud.
Obviously. So you think there's going to be a decent run from de Minaur and from Rublev in Belgrade, in Metz, basically?
So just remind me, sorry, how far do they need to get for Ruud to not get to the finals?
Yeah, I would have to pull out this chart that I had somewhere, to be honest.
I'm sure it's quite tight.
Yeah, I think in the case of de Minaur, though, it's pretty tricky for him to get ahead of Casper. Rublev has it a little easier. I'm gonna try to find it pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, I would say that all three players doing what they need to do in order to get ahead of Djokovic, that is already a little improbable to me. I think Novak will probably get it if he actually wants to play.
Yeah.
And And that's kind of my opinion. Otherwise, yeah. So when it comes to Alex and Casper, Alex, in order to even get ahead of Ruud, he has to make the final, and that's assuming Casper doesn't even win a match.
Right, okay. So, well, we can look at Domino's draw, I guess. I think that's quite an interesting way to start. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to win his second rounds, his first round, sorry. Quarterfinal isn't a given if Marozsan manages to get through.
So you're just skipping Wawrinka in the second round?
I'm saying he's beaten Wawrinka.
Okay.
Yeah, I get you. It's not a total given, but I think, I think he wins. He's in form enough. I'm not saying it's a gimme, but I think he's in form enough. And then, let's assume he gets to the semis, because Marozsan, again, is the kind of player that de Minaur should be able to get under the skin of. Depends how well Marozsan's playing. And the semis would be Cerundolo, Medvedev, Safiullin maybe, Nakashima. Do any of these players scare you against de Minaur?
What a section for Medvedev, by the way. Like I'm just kind of noticing it. Obviously, he beat Brandon Nakashima.
He beat Nakashima. Yeah, he beat.
Yeah, he beat Brandon Nakashima, so Vansh's favorite. And right now, like he has, wow. I know he already had good chances this year. I know, but this looks amazing for him. Would I be scared for de Minaur in any of these matches? Not really. I mean, I guess Marozsan beat him before, right? Like Shanghai last year. But yeah, Marozsan is the only real threat in that quarterfinal section. Probably Medvedev is the only real threat in the semifinal section. Maybe Cerundolo in a good indoor match for him. But yeah, this looks good for Alex to make the final, I think.
I think he beats Cerundolo. I think it's, the kind of backhand matchup is pretty strong for Alex. Just able to absorb so much power as well, so he won't really be scared of the forehand in these courts. Medvedev probably. Yeah, I think he makes the final. That's my final answer, David. I think he makes the final. I'm not terrified of the draw for him, so I think Ruud doesn't make it to the ATP Finals.
But then he has to lose in the opening round in Metz.
I missed that. There's so many different variables. Right, okay.
I mean, I guess if de Minaur wins Belgrade, then he would have the same number of points as Casper if Casper makes the semis in Metz. But I think the tiebreaker is better for Alex because he has more points from slams and ATP 1000 events. So this is pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty tricky to just kind of count that. But we could look at the Rublev and Ruud draw, I guess, now.
So I mean, Ruud's going to play RBA or probably RBA.
Bonzi is tough, right? Like Bonzi just made like won 2 titles and made it the third final in a row. Had 3 match wins against Virtanen. I think both players are pretty tough for Ruud already. Bautista Agut or Bonzi, I mean.
Yeah, I actually didn't know Bonzi was fit and healthy. I thought he was still kind of coming back from injuries and stuff.
Yeah, 14-1 in his last. Well, actually, with the qualifying here, I guess we can say 16-1 in his last 17 matches.
Okay, dangerous then for sure. I mean, I think he gets beat. I think Ruud gets beat. I don't think he makes the semis, at least.
I think the quarter might be easier for him than the second round is, but if Alice or Rinderknecht get there, and they probably will, I think I'm gonna say that too. I don't think Casper makes the semis in Metz.
Rinderknecht, I feel worse about, I think, than... Is it Mickelson? Is that what you said?
Alice.
Who?
Quentin Alice.
Oh, Hallis. Sorry, Hallis. Yeah, again.
H is silent, Jack. H is silent.
Yeah, sorry. Is that Alice?
Yeah, I mean, it's French, so H is silent.
Quentin Alice. Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like either player just will be hitting the ball bigger than Casper. So, yeah, I don't think he makes the semis. That's my final answer, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of subscribe to this now, and this would basically leave him in the hands, leave his fate in the hands of de Minaur and Rublev. Alex, as I said earlier, I think if Ruud doesn't make the semis, the final would be, the title would be enough if he wins one round. But if Ruud doesn't win even a single round, then Alex only needs to make the final, and we just said that he is a pretty big favorite to do it. How about Andrei Rublev then as the top seed in the Metz?
Let's check it out.
I mean, the worst thing about this is that, like, with Minaur, I was looking at these matches and I was thinking, okay, so he should win this. Okay, he's pretty reliable, right? And like Rublev, I'm seeing this second round against Diaz Acosta and Sonego, and I'm already like, I mean,
Not Sonego? Has he lost or something? Or
huh?
is Sonego lost already? Is that I can't see that. Could be
No, no,
Sonego.
I'm just like, I'm looking at any potential match for Ruud, and I know more or less what I will get. I'm
Right.
looking at any potential match for Minaur, and I know more or less what I will get. Whereas Rublev right now, like,
Yeah, anybody's dangerous. Or Rublev could just storm through them. It's pretty tough to tell. I mean, I would imagine it's Sonego in the second round. I
yeah,
guess.
you'd think so, given it's indoors. Yeah.
Again, Sonego's just one of those guys that I would say is due a big win. Actually, it feels like he's not had great results this year, and he'll kind of smell blood. So, it's tough to say. That's a difficult one. I don't like it, but you can see Rublev getting through that. And then probably, well, that's a big leap to say it's Struff in the quarterfinals because he has to win 2 rounds, particularly Shevchenko as well, who could be tricky. Rublev would probably prefer. Would he prefer Muti actually? I don't know. Maybe that could be one of those matches he's just not in the mood for at all.
Yeah, I think all three are pretty tricky. Mute, Shevchenko, Struff. Shevchenko made the final last year. Yeah, I mean, it's looking the best draw is definitely with the Minaur, I think, or maybe it's just him who's the best right now, which is also true. Like he actually tells you, yeah, I can win a few matches, whereas Rublev and Ruud, they obviously haven't been able to do it recently. So it's tough. I mean, Kasper is in a good position solely because of the points. Rublev still slightly better, I guess, than the Minaur if he wins just like one round, only because of the other. I mean, yeah, because of the best other results and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be a mess, that's for sure. I personally hope that we're not gonna know until like Friday or Saturday. Just give it to us as long as possible. It's gonna get a lot of spotlight on Metz and Belgrade as well, which I guess for these events is really important too. That they have this last minute qualification scenarios, and the whole tennis world will be talking about it. But yeah, in the end, we also, of course, might get the situation where like Novak withdraws midweek, and every single one of these players just gets in, which would be a pretty fair way to end this as well. But of course, it's up to Novak if he. I mean, if all of these three other scenarios that we mentioned earlier won't happen, as in like all three of them won't get ahead of him.
Not my king. John's comment. Beware Carlos Slayer Montero.
Yeah, Thiago Monteiro, I think he's won his last 4 top 10 matches.
Really? My God,
Yes,
what's that?
and I think this year he is 3-0 against the top 10.
Oh my God, okay. Yeah, dark horse, right? Dark horse
One
on
of
a
them, of course, is against Ruud on our screen in Bostad. One of them is Tsitsipas in Madrid. One of them is Rune at Davis Cup in 2023. And the win that John is mentioning, the one over Alcaraz in Rio. That's just a masterclass. Thiago Monteiro that day, I mean, yeah, I think there are going to be kids named Thiago in Brazil, like everywhere, in about 20 years from here. And then not even 20 years. What am I talking about? In about a year from here, I guess. They're going to be there. But yeah, the match lasted 2 games, obviously, if someone is confused about what we're talking right now. And Carlos twisted his ankle. Anyway, 25 would be a much bigger target, says Oz and Kabak, that Novak saves himself and rests for AO. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that is any goal for Novak, really, that ATP Finals title. Like, it just doesn't seem like he cares that much, which is fine. I mean, it's fair. I still think that he is pretty likely to withdraw, but if he's going to, yeah, just do it now. Carlos couldn't live with Monteiro. That's kind of true, right? I mean, Monteiro had 2 working ankles and Carlos had 1. So
That's true, yeah. Fair. You got anything to add to the what we've said so far, Damien? I think we've kind of said our piece. And probably most likely for me is de Minaur. I think that's pretty clear. If we had to pick one of the 3, I guess, in front of us. I'm sure you'd probably agree.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
because obviously I get the stakes, but I think de Minaur's in a pretty good enough. He's in a good enough position that form wise to get through that draw. I think so.
he's in better form. He's got the best draw, maybe, or maybe that's also just considering form. But still, he's got the worst situation in terms of the points. But I think it's also pretty clear that like most tennis fans right now, looking at this trio, they would want Alex to make it because he's the one that's been delivering. He's the one that's been steady. Whereas Casper, I mean, after the first half of the year, I mean, first half of the year maybe the best tennis he's ever played. Second half of the year, forget it. And Andrei Rublev, of course, has been just a riddle this entire season with 2 huge events, but nothing else really. And even these 2 events had some question marks about them. There will be more time for it, definitely, on the next ATP Weekly. Whoever does that, obviously, that will be after Belgrade and Metz and probably before the ATP Finals begin. When there's going to be more time to like analyze the groups and everything and every player at the ATP Finals.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.